It was the biggest snow season that we've ever seen in business, and we almost bankrupted the company. Months and months of pain, watching so many things fall apart.
What is like one piece of advice that you have for the 18-year-old version of yourself?
You know, the biggest one that took me so long.
All right, Stefano. So I came out here all the way from Boston, and it's crazy to check out your operation for the first time. I wanted to ask a few questions about where you're currently at today, and then see how it all started. So
Yeah.
you gave me a tour of the operation this morning, and I'm honestly blown away with, first of all, how organized everything is, but like just the size of the business that you're running at 25 years old. So how many tractors do you currently have? How many guys? And in terms of revenue, what are you guys on track to do this year, would you say?
Right now, we're on track to do $5 million in top line for this year. And right now, currently, we have 61 machines in the yard. Total of like 80 humans around the entire operation. Yeah,
80 guys.
It's quite magical. It's special for sure.
So managing 80 guys, that's probably pretty stressful, right?
It can be at times, but as long as the right systems are in place and you have the right structure, we've spent a lot of time and a lot of money this year on building good structure, right? You know, I like to look at it kind of like a pyramid. That's exactly what you should structure your business. You know, at the top, I'll have myself. Underneath, we'll have our general manager. Then under the general manager, we'll have our different department managers. Then we'll have the supervisors. And then you got the field workers.
A clear hierarchy. That's definitely important.
We never had that before. So this is our first year actually having that. And it's completely changed everything for us. Yeah.
So it's crazy where you're at today, but I don't actually know the entire background story of how it all started. Did you start this thing like just from zero, from the ground floor, no investment, no like any crazy support? Like, was this like from the ground up you built this?
Yeah, I'm going to answer that question, but I got to say thank you for coming out all this way first.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Of course.
I didn't get to say that at the beginning of the pod, but yeah, thank you for coming all the way from Boston. Never been to Boston. Definitely want to go one day. My wife's been bugging me to go there. Apparently it's beautiful. Is Nantucket somewhere?
Yeah, that's pretty close. It's an island pretty close to Boston.
Yeah, she
like
goes crazy for that place. She went there once with some friends. Is it cool there?
My parents like to go there. It's definitely a really good spot.
Cool. Yeah, so anyways, thank you to you, your brother Jacob. We got Josh, all the boys out from Boston here in Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. Guys, we're in the Northern HQ headquarters right now. Like, we are sitting at the boardroom table where we have a lot of our masterminding and problem solving for the business. And yeah, I just want to say thank you for coming out.
Absolutely. Yeah, so how did you start day one? Like, from the idea, how did you even know you wanted to start a business, and just where did it all start?
Well, it started with just like working for several other businesses, kind of seeing the ins and outs and how their businesses worked in Sault Ste. Marie. We do have a lot of local small businesses that are family owned. And when I got involved in them, I really started to see how they operated.
So you basically had a job, like you were working at multiple jobs when you first started.
Multiple, yeah. Okay. I had tons of different jobs. I did a little bit of construction. I did delivery. I was in kitchens. I was, frontline restaurants. I had a mix of different jobs. I washed cars. I delivered newspaper. I tried so many different businesses. And the one thing that kept coming to me every single time I worked at a new business was, this isn't for me. I had a hard time listening to others. I don't think for the wrong reasons, definitely for the right reasons, but I had a hard time listening, which was good. I couldn't figure out why at that young age, but it starts making sense to me now. And
so like up until like what age were you like working at all these different jobs?
Up until I was 18.
18. Okay.
18 turning 19 that year.
And so what grade were you in school around this time?
At that time, I would have been graduating.
12, high school. So like you're saying it was around like your senior year of high school, you were kind of realizing I want to start a business. And that's when the idea first came in. Yeah.
So I dropped out like early grade 12. And then I went to a booklet school, like a locally developed learning school where people who have trouble in high school could go and get their degree by doing booklets from home because, maybe they got anxiety or it's not for them. That wasn't the case for me. For me, it was just, I just didn't like school. So I went, pulled up there, grabbed a stack of booklets. My brother was very studious at the time. He's about 5 years younger than me. Handed all the booklets over to him. I'm like, hey, Daniel, bro, $10 a piece, baby. Hammer them out. And because it was locally developed learning, it was pretty much like grade 8, grade 9, math, English, all that sort of stuff.
Sense.
And I was capable. So what I did was, like I said, left early grade 12. Right away, I'm like, I'm going to go work. I'm going to go make some money. I had so many previous jobs before that where I stacked a bunch of money from as a kid. And I was just like, why am I going to waste my time at the booklet school? Like, what's the point in that? So as soon as I
Yeah.
pulled up, I lasted like about a week there. And then they're like, you could just work from home. If you got your booklets, bring them home, hammer them out. As you're done the booklets, you could come, hand them in, and we'll get you your graduation degree. So that's exactly what I did. Brought all the booklets home, paid my brother, and then I'm like, I'm going to go work full time.
Yeah.
So I got 2 jobs. I was working in restaurants during the day, and then at night I was working at Best Buy. You guys familiar with Best Buy?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what I was doing for a while. Then spring came around. This was in 2019. And I was like, I was lost. You know, I didn't really know what to do. I had different jobs going on. I'm like, okay, like what's my career going to look like? What's my future going to look like? And I found myself going to work a construction job. I lasted like, I think 3.5 days. And I walked out halfway through a shift one day when I kind of had enough. I figured that I could do something more. The gentleman who owned it was an amazing man. He ran a good business, still runs a great business to this day. But for me, I'm like, if he could do it, I could do it too.
Why not me?
Yeah, why not me? Why not me? That's exactly what went through my mind. And I kind of got a little bit bullied around there from some of the guys. Culture wasn't the best. Business was ran well, but culture was not great. So I just got up and left, walked right out, found myself at my parents' house, kind of just like, what am I going to do next? You know, what am I really going to do next? I felt very lost. I felt a little bit of defeat, like a lot of defeat, because I wanted to make my parents proud too.
Yeah.
And I didn't know what to do, right?
How long was this period after you left the job and you're really feeling lost, not really sure what you're going to do, and feeling that feeling of defeat? Like, how long did that period last?
It was like a month.
Okay.
Yeah, it was like a month long.
So was there something in that month that happened where it flipped the switch and you were like, I'm just going to do something?
Yeah.
And then that's when your idea came. So like, walk me through that part here.
So Gary Vee was a big inspiration to me as a kid.
I watched him too.
Man, like
same here.
When I was like 15, 16, 17, 18 coming up, and I'd watch his videos, I'd be at like the edge of my seat, biting my fingernails. I'm like, man, what do I do? I felt so capable right here inside, but I didn't know how to take the next step. And one piece of advice I could give for all the younger generation watching or older, anybody at all, is the easiest way to get started is to just get started. And that's exactly what I did. And I'm going to explain here in a second. So after about week, 2 weeks of kind of scratching my head, I didn't know exactly what to do. So I picked up Gary Vee's book at the time. I think it released about a year before this time, maybe 2 years. But regardless, it was still really relevant at that time. It was the yellow book called Crushing It. Okay. I think it was a sequel to Right After Jab, Jab, Right Hook. Anyways, the book changed my life. I read it once, got to the edge of my seat, didn't really do much about it, still worked jobs. And then the second time, it clicked. Everything clicked for me. So I was reading the book and it was talking about how you could use modern day social media platforms as well as your cell phone, contacts in your phone to basically start a business and to start with what you have. Look at what you have around you, and that is the easiest way to get started. So what was in front of me? At that time, I remember reading that book on several different occasions throughout the house when I was home. But the moment it clicked for me was when I was sitting in my backyard. My grandfather was right beside me in the garden, Italian grandfather, so you could only imagine. And there was my dad's shed right in front of me. Small little shed, nothing special. And it had some tools in it. I knew it had the lawnmower. I knew it had the snowblower. I knew it had some rakes, shovels, all that sort of stuff. And just while I was reading, something clicked for me where I was like, I'm going to go landscape. I come from Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. We have 4 seasons here. I know how to cut grass. I'll figure out how to do all the landscape stuff. I know how to mulch beds. I know how to clean. I know how to remove junk. I did a little bit of junk removal too throughout the first year. I'm like, I'll do anything that I could get my hands on to make some money. So first thing I did, ran in my basement. I had a MacBook from school that my parents fortunately got for me a few years before, which was great. And went on Wix Logo Maker, might still be a business to this day. Now you can just use ChatGPT AI. You could spin up a business logo for free and like, so it was like a logo maker. And I'm like, yo, I'm from the north. Let's call it Northern, and then slap landscaping there.
Northern Landscaping.
Called it Northern Landscaping. Okay. Started the business, like I said, with the tools that I had in my dad's shed, and went to Facebook immediately after making the logo. Started the page, and I posted personally. I said, hey, City of Sault Ste. Marie friends, I got a service. I got multiple services to offer. I'm in the landscaping business. If you need any help outside of your home, contact me. And that's how it started, man. Simply.
Okay, wow. So you kind of just realize that you have these resources around you and you're just going to do something. You have the tools in the shed, you can do some landscaping, and then you're just going to start the business, like call it Northern, and then boom, you're going to go from there. So then how did you go about getting your first client from there? And then even just fulfilling on that, how did it all happen? Did you have a truck at the time or anything?
No, I actually had a Chevy Cavalier at the time. I did get a truck very soon later on, but I ended up calling Nick because he was like my brother at the time.
Nick, like, is he your
my
friend?
partner, Nick.
He's your
Yeah,
friend.
yeah, he was my friend
Partner
at the
now,
time.
right?
Partner
Okay.
now, but like just best friend at the time. I'm like, yo, Nick, I got this business idea. You want to partner together? Because he had some tools that I know we could use, right? He had a truck that we could borrow that was his grandfather's. He had a truck from his dad that we could borrow as well. He had some property space that we could use in the meantime while we were starting. And it was just, I don't know, we were just boys, right? So I'm like,
Yeah.
I want to rope him in on this.
That's kind of how I started with my brother Jake.
Exactly.
Because I was like, all right, I want to start this thing. I know that there's this opportunity to remove junk. Like, who's the first person around me that I trust?
Best friend or brother.
Exactly.
We had no idea how a partnership would look like and how starting a business would look like, but we were both just willing to do. And that's exactly what happened. So at the time, he was working full time in the plant. He was a little bit lost in his journey too. He felt the same way as myself. Like, we both wanted to start a business from when we were younger, but we just didn't know exactly what to do. As soon as I called him, he was like all for it. He's like, whatever it takes, let's do it. I'm down. So that's kind of how we got started.
From day one, were you guys just both all in, like off the rip? You were both fully dedicated, or was one of you guys pulling the slack more than the other who saw the vision clearer? Like, how did you know that both of you were going to be good partners from the beginning?
Well, we just had such a trusting relationship up to that point, never hid anything from each other. We never fought. We were just like really, really tight. I mean, I fought with my siblings way more than I ever fought with Nick.
It's so hard.
We really understood each other, and it was just like,
Yeah.
the connection was strong, so it was simple.
It's good.
But mentally, we were both all in when we decided to make the decision. Nick still had to continue working full time at that time because this was a brand new startup.
Any track record or anything?
No, exactly. So he didn't know what would be possible. His parents kind of forced it on him as well. So we, at the time, any time outside of working full time with his dad in the plant, he would come and work in the landscaping business. So we worked a lot of weekends and a lot of after hours to make it happen for both of us. But sometimes when he was busy during work and school, when he went back, I would just kind of pick up some of the slack, if you will, which I wouldn't consider it. He was just busy doing that, trying to make his parents happy, which I recommend for everybody watching. Like, you're your own person. We all love our parents to death, but you got to take your own risks. Don't listen to them.
Even my parents from the beginning, like especially my dad, we would buy our first truck and my dad would be like, you guys, you're spending all this money. What happens if that truck breaks down? You're going to fail. Same thing. We got our warehouse and he was like, you guys are in over your head. But then like, you got to know what your own direction is. And eventually it caught up. And now my dad is super proud of everything we're doing. From the beginning, he supported us, but that's just a tough love. Your parents just want what's best for you. And when they see something big and risky and unfamiliar that they might not have gone through, it's hard for them to just be all in on everything because they might not see the vision the same way. And you're totally right. Like, if I listened to my parents 100%, there's no way we'd be where we are today. We'd probably be doing good, but I agree. It's very important to know your vision and stick to it. It's like the only thing that matters. You keep that vision and you tunnel vision into it.
And sometimes it's really difficult for the parents to see it clearly, because all the passion, all the vision sits within you as the entrepreneur. And sometimes you have a hard time articulating it. It's more of a feeling than an actual thought. Okay. You just know in your soul deep down that you're capable of doing something. And when you end up going for it, everybody's going to judge you along the way. Everybody's going to get in your head. You got to have tough skin. You can't listen to anyone, your parents, your family members, even friends, if they really are friends. You got to stay very, very strong and follow that passion, follow that burning feeling you have within inside of you. So even for me, when it first started, everybody that was older, or maybe people that thought of how the business started a little bit differently, they would look at me, they'd look at my partner, and they'd say, like, do you guys really know what you're doing? Do you know where this is going to go? Like, do you know what the next year, 2 years, 3 years looks like? As you scale the business, the vision gets stronger, of course, and you start having a clearer roadmap. But at the time, it's just this little burning feeling right here that keeps you alive and keeps you going. You don't know where you're going. You really don't.
Yeah.
The first year, you had no idea. And there's no way.
We didn't even know it was going to be a long-term thing. It was just like a side hustle, trying to make some extra money.
For me, it wasn't making extra money. It was about starting something for myself. But even at the end of the landscaping season,
Yeah.
I didn't even have a crystal ball to tell you I was going to do snow removal.
Yeah,
I had no idea. It was an impulse. It was like my partner Nick went back to school. I was sitting there. I was like shaking. I'm like, oh my God, I haven't had work in like a month and a half. Landscaping business feels like it was a failure, and snow season's upon us. Like I said, all my friends are in college at this point trying to build their future. I feel helpless. I'm like, wow, my landscaping business that I started this summer sure did all right, but it's a joke now. What do I do? So I'm sitting there like a nervous wreck, and I'm panting. I remember panting the day of, thinking about it, and I'm like, shit, I'm stuck. I don't know what to do. And obviously, living in Sault Ste. Marie, if there's one major opportunity we have, it's snow removal.
Snow.
We get a lot of snow. Like ton of it.
Do you have a truck at this time when you're like, all right, I have nothing to do here. All the landscaping's gone because it's winter. So now you do have a truck at this time. And how did you go about like getting into the snow removal at this point?
Yeah, so like I said, I was pacing that day. It was a later fall day, probably late October. And I'm like, screw it. What do landscaping businesses do in the off season?
Yeah.
Okay, maybe from your neck of the woods, salt. I know salt's a big one that you guys do, de-icing and snow removal in some areas.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm going to go do snow removal. It makes sense. Why not, right? That's the thing to do in landscaping on the off season, is go do snow. So right away, went back to Wix again, made a nice ad. Let everybody know that I was doing snow removal service residentially on Facebook, hit up all the contacts on my phone, and then printed just on, a normal Canon photocopier, just printed a bunch of simple ads, went door to door, boom, 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 handed them out with me, Nick, and my cousin Joseph, who you seen in the operations today. Earlier. You remember seeing him assisting Mitchell there?
So you three from the beginning. You're all together. You're still here today.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And went to dropping them in each mailbox, and then the phone started ringing. When the phone started ringing, that's how we got the customers. I didn't have a truck at that time. Still had a Chevy Cavalier. You know what a Chevy Cavalier is?
No.
Never seen one?
No, what is it?
It was probably one of...
Like a minivan or something?
I idolized this vehicle. Like, this vehicle was like, it was my baby. It was $1,500.
Okay.
I put about $1,000 into it. I bought it from this older lady who never drove it in the winter, and it was in great condition. So what I ended up doing, I was doing a little bit of landscaping with the thing throughout the summer, but then we used Nick's grandfather's truck, and then as well as his dad's truck that he let us borrow from time to time. But when the snow season was coming up, I'm like, I got to get my own truck. So I drove 2 hours out of town, going east towards Toronto, and I picked myself up a 2004 GMC Sierra, extended cab, regular box, one of my favorite truck I ever owned.
Yeah.
And that's when I decided to go to my dad's shed right after I picked up the truck, once we started getting some customers. And I'm like, Dad, hey, can I borrow the snowblower? And he's like, absolutely. I'm like, I'm going to take care of our driveway. Call up my partner, Nick. I'm like, hey, Nick, do you think you get a snowblower from your parents? He goes, gets a snowblower from his mom and his dad. And boom, there you go. We had a truck, a trailer, 3 snowblowers, and some young men willing to work.
So your snow removal process at this point wasn't really plowing. It was more of like the hand pushed snow blowers.
And I did 30 driveways every single time it snowed with my bare hands and 3 400-pound blowers.
This is in your first year, right?
Yeah.
So let's say you're doing those 30 driveways in one snowstorm. How much would you walk away with at the end of that?
Some of them were contracts. Some of them were per visit. They were ranging from like 35 to like $50 per time, depending on the property.
Okay.
And then contracts were about like 750, 800 for the season. I think like at the end of the winter season, if we want to talk about total revenue.
Your first year.
I don't know. I think we probably scraped with the per time visits on top of some of the contracts. We probably scraped like 30, 40 grand our first winter. And then the landscaping season for the first year was about like 20, 25 roughly.
Okay.
So, almost got to that 100K mark in a calendar year.
Yeah. And that was just with you, Nick, and then your cousin, was he just like halfway in at that point, or like?
No, cousin was all in. Nick was still in college at the time.
Okay.
Like I said, doing it for his parents. He really didn't want to be there, but nothing was guaranteed. And his parents didn't like that there was nothing guaranteed for him. He would have left the same day, but they were forcing it. And that's why I said earlier to anybody watching, like, if you got that burning passion inside of you, don't let your parents hold you back. It didn't cost us anything. It didn't cost him anything. I mean, we still ended up in the same spot together here. But at that time, it was myself full-time. Nick, when he wasn't in college, would come for the snow events. My cousin Joseph was full-time because he lived with me. And then we also had a guy that's still with us to this day. He was operating the Lamborghini earlier today.
He was there from day one.
Spencer, not Eric Spencer.
Okay.
Eric's been kind of there from day one too.
Yeah.
Like to me, in my heart, he feels like he's been there from day one, but he came about a year and a half later.
Are most of your day one guys like still here today?
When we talk about building the business, yeah, like Eric and Mitchell, myself, Nick, Joseph, we're here. Joseph was gone for a long period of time. He went back home to Whitby because that's where he's from, just outside of Toronto. But then we ended up pulling him back here, and now he's with us full time.
That's good. We had a situation like that too. Like kind of one of our year two guys, he ended up leaving to become an electrician. But as the company grew, like there was like this FOMO, and he kind of just like came back, brought another guy with him.
Yeah.
So like that was pretty awesome too. Now those guys are both killers. You know, we're building this rocket ship, we're taking off, and you're getting in on the opportunity early. And I'm sure a lot of your guys probably feel like that, probably still feel like that, because even though you're where you are today, I still think there's so much more to go. But I wanted to ask now, so you're at year one, ending off just under 6 figures with U3, and then where did you go from there? Like obviously you have money, and now you're at this point where you're making a decision about where are you going to invest that money, what are you going to do next. So walk me through what happened from there.
Yeah, absolutely. So late winter, I come across the model where guys in Quebec were using tractors with inverted snowblowers. Everybody watching, you want to build a business, YouTube. And don't get distracted with all the sexy e-commerce and drop shipping stuff that you see now. It's crypto and all these different things going on. Building a brick and mortar business, especially for service-based, especially blue collar, there's never been a better time.
One reason why I think it's one of the best times is because there's all these old school people that are doing it with like no technology. And if you come in there with that young energy, first of all, people want to support the younger generation. That's why I branded the company Junk Teens, because people will just throw money at you because you're young. That's the first thing. Second thing is if you can go into these boring industries that don't have any tech, and you start to implement that, now you can instantly be ahead of a lot of people in that industry. And if you just show up every day, it's almost like it's guaranteed to work. You just have to be able to put in that work.
Yep, you nailed it exactly. That's exactly what we did. When we came to the market in Sault Ste. Marie, and we brought the innovation of using the tractors with the inverted blowers, backed up by the software technology, and just being a strategic marketer with having a great offer, we smashed this place. We drove all of our quote unquote competition out of the business. There was almost close to 10 other smaller residential snow removal companies that are not here today anymore.
Because of you guys.
We just knocked them out one by one by one. Number one, we don't have the energy because maybe they've had their business for 25, 30 years and they're getting to the end of their career. They don't want to do snow removal anymore. Some that were just still new, but they're like, we don't stand a chance. They didn't want to invest the money and time. And they seen 2 young guys on the block that were steamrolling. So it's like when you grow from 30 driveways to 175 to 500 to 2,000 to 3,300 to 4,200, it's like, what am I doing competing with these guys? So we knocked out, we acquired. We did a bunch of different things to pretty much ultimately leave ourselves with no competition. I got to answer your question, though, that you asked before. What do I do with the money after winter? So this was coming to the end of the winter season. And when I came across a business model on YouTube, right away, I ran to go buy my first tractor. So I went, got the tractor, used it for our very first time. We got an economy setup, just like bare bone MX 5400, barely had any packages on it, was really just a very simple tractor, but it was brand new and it worked. It did the job and it did it great.
Where did you keep that thing? Your friend's house?
At the time, I was renting a house out at the airport. Me and my cousin were living there. Okay. So we had a ton of yard space.
That's good.
This was going over the winter, going into the spring. It was a transition period probably in like November, December, where as soon as I started the business, I couldn't live at home anymore. I come from a small semi-house in the West End, not a lot of room. My cousin was living on the floor in my parents' basement with me, I swear to God, for like a few weeks. I don't even know how he did it. And then he's like, man, can we move out of the house here? Like, we got to get out of your parents' house. And my nonna was there, my brother, my mom, my dad, a dog, me, my cousin, in this small little 1,000-square-foot home in the West End. Mm-hmm. I'm like, yeah, okay, Joe, let's get out of here. So we went and found a house out at the airport, tons of property space, garage. It's $2,000 a month CAD. We split it and we ended up going out there to live. But that's where I parked the machine, just so you know. And that's kind of where we actually started the real business was after that winter. That's when traction really started. Then later on, Nick came along. He moved into, we used the garage space. We had the trucks there, the tractor, and we started our landscaping business. So right after that, you asked where the money went. We bought our first machine. We bought a couple trailers. At the time, I had my truck. Nick had his truck. Call up one of my friends that I went to high school with, Mike Byron. He was a great guy, and he was very knowledgeable in the landscaping industry. And I told him, hey, I'll pay you good money. Bring your expertise into our business, and let's go do some landscaping and hardscaping.
You were doing hardscaping too, and you still do that today?
No.
Okay,
no.
We'll get to that.
Yeah, we'll get to that. But he came on, and we ended up having a very successful summer with him. It was incredible. We probably did, I want to say maybe, it's hard. I want to say it was around $100,000 that summer landscaping. It might have been more, maybe like 150. But let's call it
your second year, right?
Yeah,
it's pretty good. Yeah.
We'll call it like at the end of like 17, 18 months, right? So like a year and a half roughly, and smashed it. Had a great season, and over the summer, I just found such a passion for the snow business after I sat in that very first tractor we bought at the end of our first season, and I blew snow with that inverted blower, and I did my research, and I contacted people out of town that were running the business model, that I'm like, even throughout the summer, hardscaping was fun, but I was so passionate about that, and I wanted to pursue growing that. So over that summer, with the money we made from landscaping, I put 2 more down payments on another 2 tractors, and this time we souped them right up. Like, we got them dialed in. We got full snow package,
fully loaded,
the proper blower. We got them like the way you see them now is the exact way we had them set up, which is incredible. Acquired those 2 tractors over the summer, parked them, and we got ready to go into our biggest winter yet. We did 175 driveways, 3 tractors, me, Nick, and then we had Mike. Mike ended up, flopping on us, and he ended up quitting like first week or 2 weeks into winter. And that's when I pulled my neighbor that I actually grew up with, and the man that was in the Lamborghini earlier today. Spencer came on with us, operated our very first tractor that we bought, which was the MX 5400. And we killed it, man. We had software. We were all dialed
in the trucks out there in the winter.
Of course.
Yeah, and you were just still bootstrap building it. There you go.
Everything, man. Okay. We did everything. We were hands-on. We were admin. We were everything sales. You name it.
Okay, so you guys are in the trucks. You had a very successful second winter. You're starting to develop this passion too for the snow business. Is there any particular reason why you think that excites you more than landscaping or anything else?
It was the model, the reoccurring service, how it was simplified, and how much it made sense and how futuristic it was. It was just so efficient. Yeah. Like, I've been always used to seeing guys with plow trucks not only make a mess, but do driveways in a very insufficient manner and take a long time to do driveways. So when we caught on to this model, and I seen that other people in Quebec and, outskirts of Quebec and Ottawa were doing like 1,000, 2,000, 4,000, 5,000, 6,000, all the way up to 10,000 driveways with fleets of like 100 tractors, I'm like, man, I want to do that. So it was clear to me. I love the way the game works. I love the reoccurring service, and I just love the business model. It made a lot of sense to me, so I wanted to pursue it.
So you're also like driven here by the opportunity that there is with all these other guys doing it, maybe more on a project basis, and you see your model and you see using these tractors and everything. You just see the opportunity, and that's part of what has like built this passion. Is you're just like, this is here in front of me, and it's just so close I can reach out and grab it. And that has made you so excited that you see the vision so clear that you're just, nothing else is stopping you. You're just going for it. Am I getting that right?
Yeah.
You're at this point?
Yeah.
Okay, so you're here in your second year, and it's going, and it's real because it's consistent now. But you have 3 tractors, and now you're at over 50 now. So how do you go from your second year to your 3 tractors? What happened next?
Right after we finished that winter, we were successful. I think we did, I want to say it was 150 over the winter in top line. Yeah, it was about, I'd say 150,000 to be conservative and safe. Did 150 grand over the winter, had some money. And I also had Spencer in that one tractor I told you about, who was a roofer. Okay, and I don't talk about the story too much, so maybe we'll dive into it a bit. But Spencer was a roofer, and what do roofers do throughout the winter? They collect unemployment, they go do snow removal, they don't really do much. So he came and worked with us, and he loved working with us so much. He kept saying, Steph, like, you're so great to work with. Let's do something together. I want to start a roofing business with you. I'm like, holy shit. a roofing business now. And at the time, you're so like, and I still am now, but you're so energized, you're so passionate. And like, once you gain that traction, it feels like you take the world on.
It's hard to say no.
But at the time, it was like, I would do anything. And it made sense. I'm like, I got a guy who's skilled, who knows roofing, who's done it for several years. He gave me an agenda of what we need. I need a dump trailer. I need this truck. I need these tools. I got the rest of the tools. You do everything else. You market, you get the customers, you make the brand, you do the insurance, you take on the liability, you do everything from your end as a business, and I'll do the front end fulfillment. So right away, talked to Nick. He was all in for it. And then Spencer, at that time, was the guy who helped us start and run the roofing company. So we did that and hardscaping at the same time.
In the spring, after that winter.
And we did great. Our first year in roofing, I think we came up on just under $1 million in top line. We did 700,000 in top line.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty crazy.
We crushed it. Yeah. And then I think we did about like, I want to say about 300,000 in landscaping over the summer. Maybe we did about $1 million.
Was the landscaping like a lot more profitable than the roofing though at that time?
Yeah. So like, there's one thing I got to correct. A lot of people get really excited when they hear like, ooh, $700,000 in top line, but it's like so much of that revenue was material.
Guys, you need a lot of guys out on those roofs.
Exactly.
It's brutal, hard to find those workers.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So a lot of the revenue was definitely material. I want to say that, margins were thin. I want to say that probably after tax profit or net profit, if you will, we're probably looking at like maybe 10%, 15%,
So you, all of a sudden you have a roofing company. You don't still have that company today, do you?
No, we closed it.
So yeah, tell me what happened. Why did you close it? When did that happen? Because it took me probably also like 2 to 3 years to learn how to say no. It's a really important lesson that for anyone watching, I think if you can learn that early on, the riches are in the niches.
Yeah,
and if you try to do everything, you're not going to be the best at one thing. That's when we turned the business into junk teens, specifically junk removal. Like when we first started, my brother and I were similar to you with our pickup truck, trying to do whatever we could to make money, junk removal, moving, landscaping, like you name it. And so yeah, you're at this point, like what did you even do with the roofing company from here? Because that's good money too. Even like with the 10-15% profit margin, it's like if you're going to shut that down, that's hard to do. So what happened?
Yeah, I wanted to do the same as what you guys did. I wanted to simplify and I wanted to double down on what we are good at. And that was snow removal. I seen the scale. We were growing year after year. There was profit in it. There was the reoccurring service. Everything about it made way more sense to me. So that's why I decided to double down and pursue that. We held on to roofing and landscaping after that first year for 2 more additional years. And I'm not going to lie, we were still successful with both businesses. Our hardscaping projects kept getting better. We kept doing bigger and bigger projects, running it up to one of our biggest projects that we did, which was a backyard oasis for like 60 grand. And we were becoming really good at the trade and I really enjoyed it, but it just wasn't as passionate as the snow business for me. So got rid of it.
Did you sell it or like?
No, we tried selling it. It was a loss. Yeah, it was a loss selling the roofing, not selling the roofing company. Closing the roofing company was a major loss, and landscaping as well. Closing it was a bit of a loss as well.
So you also closed your landscaping.
Yeah. So just like you guys consolidating down to junk teens, we wanted to consolidate down to northern snow, and we did just that. We went all in on snow. And it paid off dividends to where we are today. It was the right move. I could get all my focus, all my energy, all my time, and put it towards scaling that business. Hence why we've had such incredible growth the last couple of years. So if I was doing roofing still, landscaping, and I was doing snow, I'd probably be bankrupt by now. Or I would have been out of business a while ago. So too many things.
Here's another question though. If you're shutting down the landscaping business and snow is seasonal, how are you able to keep your workers throughout the summer and the spring?
So that's when I changed the model and I decided to simplify it again. I said, we snow blow in the winter. We don't shovel, nothing, just blow snow. We just finished a winter with 3,300 customers.
Wow. And this is your 3rd year?
No, this would have been 4th year.
Okay, 3,300. Yeah.
3,300. This would have been our 4th season. And over that year with 3,300, I don't know how, but God treated me really well. It was one of the lightest winters we've had in history here for like the last decade. And what I was able to do over that winter was work on, what do we need to do in the summer? Landscaping's closed, roofing's closed. What do I do next?
Yeah.
I need to simplify things because all my focus, all my time, I need to put into our current customer base, which is the customers that we do snow blowing for. Now, what do those customers need in the summer? Of course, they need fertilizing, weed spraying. They need, mulching, landscaping services. That's great. But what can I do that's reoccurring, that is very simple, that is the more needed service? That's grass cutting. I have 3,300 customers in front of me, and in the summer, I'm providing no service for them. I need to get on something that's reoccurring. I need to get on something that's simple. I need to get on something that's very much like the snow business.
Okay.
So that's when I did my research. I flew to Nebraska, met my good friend Ted Glazer, where I went and seen his grass cutting model and how he ran his lawn business. And I was like, wow, this reminds me of the snow business, but on a different level. You have the nice nimble trucks with the ramp rack set up, no truck and trailer to haul around. You got specialized equipment that you're able to do properties more efficiently with. The software that we use for the winter worked for the summer as well. And it just all clicked for me. I'm like, I'm going to do what I do in the winter in the summer as well. So that first year we actually scaled up, which was not this summer, last summer. We scaled up to 500 homes. Okay. This past summer we did about 700 homes. And out of those customers, that was from our main customer base that we got from the winter. Yeah. So the winter is just such a good lead magnet to get these customers over in the summer that now after this winter, we're doubling down on the lawns. I want to try to get to over 1,000 properties total. And we're going to move our business to a subscription model where just like you pay for your Spotify or Apple Music or any sort of subscription that you pay for, we want to be one of those line items where we take care of your snow and lawn 365 days a year on a month-to-month payment period.
That's smart. And that's a really good way to kind of like keep the business model similar with landscaping. There's all this random stuff coming at you.
Project work, man. Predict project work. Exactly. It's so up and down.
Yeah.
And with the reoccurring services and figuring out your niche, you could just triple, quadruple down on making processes, simplifying, and then, of course, enhancing growth right after where the profits really start to come in. And that's what I'm trying to do.
All right. So this is really good. I still want to know how you went from 3 trucks to how many in your next season?
So we went from 3 to 7.
3 to 7. Okay. And that was pretty much the same idea of like taking what you made, reinvesting, and still at this point, everything is financed.
Yep.
Okay.
So I'm back at home. We had a small shop space in the West End.
You moved out of that house that you were renting and went back home?
Yeah.
Then where did you put all the tractors?
We had a shop in the West End.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so you have your shop there.
It was a very small shop. It was actually on a residential property, and we lasted in there for basically the entire winter with having 500 customers and 7 tractors. And then right at the end of the winter, we got served from the city saying, hey, like, you guys are operating a commercial business on a residential property.
Oh.
You have this many days to leave. Okay. Get out of here. Wow. So that's when we found this place up here.
Nice.
Yeah. On Great Northern Road.
So did you find this place when you had 7 tractors?
7 tractors. We just finished the year with 500 contracts.
500 contracts. Yeah. And you finished that year, how much revenue with 500 contracts?
I want to say, like, to give the round number, I think it was like 400.
Now you're there, 7 tractors, you found this place, and what did you do next?
Yeah, so as soon as we moved in here, I was like, okay, we're established now. We have a lease, we're in a professional building, we're in the main artery of the city on Golden Mile in Sault Ste. Marie. It's time to put your big boy pants on and really put some gas on this fire. I'm at 500. We just finished the winter. We're going into our third year landscaping, second year roofing, and we're just going guns blazing. Now that we have a big shop space, we had all this yard space, we have these offices, we're able to really start growing the business. I found a passion for sales and marketing throughout that entire year, and especially marketing. And that year right there, I said, we are going to grow as big as we possibly can. We had a successful summer roofing, like a crazy successful summer roofing. And if it wasn't for that business, we wouldn't have been able to grow the snow business as big. So after knocking that summer out of the park between landscaping and roofing, we took the business from 500 contracts all the way to 2,000. That's crazy percentage of growth in history from our company. 500 to 2,000, 4x.
So something huge happened there. What did you do differently to go there?
Marketed our absolute ass off.
So what is what did you do for marketing?
Everything, which I wouldn't recommend that people do because obviously our cost to acquire customers was, through the absolute roof.
But you had to test everything to figure out what works at the same time.
Exactly. So I was doing physical, I was doing digital, I was doing sponsorships, I was wrapping stuff. I was anything I could get my hands on for the city to know about our brand and business, I spent money on for the snow business to scale it, right? And like I said, we had such a successful season roofing. People were home during COVID at that time.
Okay.
People couldn't travel and everybody had extra money. So it was the perfect time to landscape and the perfect time to do roofing. Why? Because people were spending money on their homes. So having that successful season gave us a lot of extra money to be able to scale the snow side.
That's good.
And when we marketed, it was all about just doing volume. You know, volume negates luck. So I'm like, we're not going to get lucky scaling this thing. We need to do volume. How do we let as many people in Sault Ste. Marie know about our product and service?
Yeah, so what are, like, go off of line items, like, what did you do to let everyone know?
A lot of physical mailers. Lots of physical mailers with strategy, of course.
Yeah.
We did a lot of digital, tons of digital advertising through Meta. We wrapped city buses. You got to remember, we come from a small town, so we could serve up Meta ads for probably a lot cheaper than you guys can in Boston. Competition's a lot higher there, right?
Yeah, definitely.
So, you know, ran enough Meta and enough physical mailers. And then, you know, we had a lot of yard signs. Something else that blew us up from the winter before of going from 500 to 2,000 was our pickets. You see our pickets from driving through the city, our yard signs that we have in the winter at the end of the driveways. Those blew us up as well. Lots of money invested into those, wrapping some of our trucks and trailers. And just any sponsorship I could find. We wrapped a city bus, as I mentioned, which that one really put us on the map too. Made us official. Like, oh my God, this small business wrapped a city bus. Like, they're here to stay.
That's huge.
All these things compounded. It put the word of mouth out there, and we just doubled down on sales, tripled down on sales. And we were able to accomplish that 500 to 2,000 scale.
That's huge. And how many tractors did you have at that point?
Tractors, we went from 7 to 22.
Wow. And still the same kind of idea. You have the type of tractor that has the attachments on it, same model. You weren't like changing anything up too much and financing those the same as you go.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
That's really good.
I mean, we modified year after year. Like, there's been little things along the way. We're still modifying to this day. So every little problem that occurred along the last 5 years, we would add them up as little 1% improvements and make sure that we prepared our machines more and more every winter to not have that downtime on the road, right?
Okay.
So yeah, we did improve our machines a lot, but when we look at just the skeleton, it's the exact same.
Okay. So
inverted blower with a tractor, from mount weights, hammer.
That's good. You're sticking to the model, and now you're at 2,000 contracts. And then what year is this? Your third or fourth?
No. This is my 7th year. But like real business,
real business.
This is the 6th winter.
Okay, and your 6th winter, 2,000 contracts. And then how many years after that until today? One?
From the 2000?
Yeah.
1 winner, 2 winners.
Okay, so yeah, tell me like how you went from 2,000 to how many?
3,300.
So 2,000 to 33, and then this year how many?
No, then we went from 33 to 42.
30, okay.
And now we're at 4,850.
Wow,
we're gonna break 5,000.
So just sum it up. How did you go from the 2,000 to all the way where you are today? Was it marketing again, or
it was marketing? It was sales.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it was having the pickets out there. It was definitely running stronger and stronger marketing campaigns the year after.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was media too that probably had a lot to do with it. This last 2 years for sure. When I started hopping on media.
So what is media? Like Instagram, TikTok, YouTube?
Creating social content, like organically picking up your iPhone and just getting behind it and make content, you know?
Okay.
I did that on our year of going into 2,000 contracts. That was it was like late November. I'm like, I'm going to document the journey of us doing snow removal with 2,000 contracts, because why not? It's crazy. Picked up my iPhone and I filmed the entire winter off my iPhone just like this.
And were you posting that yourself?
Yeah, I was editing and posting and running the business and running the tractor. I still sometimes ask myself, I'm like, was it luck? Because I'm like, how was I so fortunate to be able to do that? And it wasn't luck. I remember still to this day work even harder than I used to when I was younger. But I was just like, how did I find the time to operate, run the business, do the sales, do the marketing, and then also on top of that, create the content? It wasn't just me. I can't sit here and take full accountability, but I was able to still facilitate all those things with the help of others and myself. But I did all the editing. I did all the filmmaking. I did all of it myself for like 2 years until I came across Eric.
Yeah.
Eric Maas. Yeah.
Yeah, he's great.
Yeah.
So the content, what did that do for your business in those 2 years? Like, how did that help you go to where you are today? How many contracts you had today?
We're just under 5,000, 4,850.
So like, how did the media help you get there in any way?
Honestly, being from a small town, everybody knows who we are now.
So you're like a local celebrity now.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, so like it got you more recognition locally.
Hmm.
And is there anything else that came from it too?
Um,
Indirect, direct value.
the business itself was really, really put on the map through our strategic marketing and, of course, our great service. If our service was horrible, of course, we wouldn't have scaled to where we are today. The demand for snow removal, of course, was another aspect. But I think that when I started creating the content, it really started building an amazing culture to build a business around.
Yeah.
And it also started letting people know locally that I was serious about my business and I was not just showing the pretty stuff. I was showing everything about it and posting it on media. From Instagram to TikTok to Facebook to YouTube. I was doing it all to let people know about who we were, our journey, and what I was doing as an entrepreneur and what we had to offer. Now, where it really started to compound was the next winter when we started to gain some traction and we were blowing up on TikTok a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, we're here to stay. And then the next winter happened, which was last winter, where we got the most snow we ever seen in Sault Ste. Marie in our entire lives.
Wow.
And through the consistent 2 winters and throughout the summers of me creating content, the compounding efforts, it finally paid off. Like, you know, when they say keep mining because you're 3 feet away from gold, the 2 winters I filmed before that, like, man, my first 1,000 subscribers took me like, I don't even know. It took me like a year almost, you know? Then to 10,000 subscribers took me like another year.
Yeah.
And then last winter, with all the traction we had and the consistent amount of reps and just volume negates luck, boom. We blew up on social media, scaled everything from like, I think we started the winter with only like 50,000 total followers and subscribers between all 4 platforms. And then we finished the winter season in 6 months with 500,000. So It was like, boom. Now, here we are.
So you're documenting your journey and people feel like they're a part of it here.
Exactly.
And it's like you're bringing this spark and this energy through your media, bringing all the eyeballs to this area. And they're just a regular service business that might not be sexy from the outside. Now people feel like they're a part of your journey, not only your customers, but even the audience and other people starting businesses. And what about your employees? Like, have people directly joined your team from seeing your media?
Absolutely. I mean, we have tons of people that have came here just because of media. Anthony, our general manager, like, and partner that we brought in, like, if it wasn't for the media, he probably would have never came here. But he's been a big fan of Gary Vee over the years, and he really understands the whole ecosystem of how media works. And he's like, man, this kid's going places. Okay, he's young. I want to work with him. I want to be a part of this dream and vision. He was working for an old school corporate business here in Sault Ste. Marie. You know how it could be very dull, not really a big vision in place, just like old school. And he just seen the light here. He's seen the culture. He's seen that we are young. He's seen the media presence, and he's like, oh, I need to hop on this.
Nice.
So after some persistence, he came on board with us. And yeah, it's been amazing. We've done such an impact on the culture, creating content. You've seen it in there.
Yeah,
guys love it. I mean, everybody is used to the media around here. Everybody signs media consent forms. Everybody knows when they come to work for Northern that they're going to be on camera. If they don't want to be on camera, they might be in the background. I won't come and call them out directly. But yeah, man, the talent that we have found for media, Miko at the front, I don't know if you got to meet him. He came because of content. Gio came because of content. My cousin Joseph probably wouldn't have returned if it wasn't for the content.
Yeah.
Tons of great people here because of the content.
There's another thing I found with the media is that it makes people feel like they're a part of something bigger than just the company. Now you're in these videos, you're getting to see yourself go viral. Like there's an audience that appreciates your presence, and now you feel like you're a part of something bigger than just that company. But at the same time, you're also feeling your own growth in the company, because when you're in something from the beginning as any part of the team member, you're growing with the organization. So there's that, plus that additional layer of the media is something that I found is one of the best parts of creating a good culture, being able to not only have the business growth, but the media growth behind it. It's like the perfect combination to create that spark, to keep people. And there's some people that media is just that extra thing that I've realized is what keeps them on.
Like I could say that you will not go to one other business in Sault Ste. Marie, okay? You will not go to one other business in Sault Ste. Marie and get the same energy, spark, culture that you do here. And that's because of the media, man. Not just because of the media. We play a very big part and we put a lot of time and money in building the best culture possible and having good spirits, good morale, and having a good hoorah. We do put our men before ourselves. Our leaders eat last always, and we take care of them. We make it a very fun, energetic place. We're quick to forgive, but we want to be quick to train and make sure our guys learn from their mistakes. We drive this business forward with a lot of passion and a lot of leadership. That old kind of toxic culture that a lot of boomers built businesses based off of, right? Like when you do something wrong, you're getting screamed at. When you do something wrong here, we're going to tell you first, before we tell you what you did wrong, we're going to tell you first, here's the things you're doing great. That one thing you just did wrong, this is why it happened. So learn from it. This is how you're going to make sure you correct it, that it doesn't happen again. And just giving them that little bit of like self-esteem to know that they're still doing other things correctly, but they may have screwed up that one thing or made a mistake. It's okay. Mistakes happen. As long as you learn, you don't let it happen again. You build not only confidence, but you also build respect. Okay. And today it's easy to go work for another business when you get screamed and called out. And that's probably why it was a big reason for me to want to do something for myself, because I went to different businesses and I was managed, and the owners kind of had that boomer mentality. And I'm not calling them out, but they just had a different way of building a business. If you screwed up, you got screamed at. If you weren't doing something right, you got screamed at.
Yep.
And you had to do it right or else. And it's just not the right way to lead a company.
I agree. I worked a couple jobs before we started our business too. Being in a job and knowing what it's like to work a job, I think makes you a much better leader, because like even for me with Junk Teens, our warehouse is full of graffiti. We buy snacks for the guys. Like honestly, the reason I started all this social media was just because I wanted to show what it's like in the culture, like to show that working with us is more than just work. It's fun too.
Exactly.
That's the whole reason I started our social media, not because I wanted to go viral or anything like that. It was like, you know, even if we have 1,000 followers and there's videos of us doing cool stuff, like people will show that to their friends. Hey, this is my job and this is where I work. So the whole goal with social media doesn't even always have to be like, I'm going to have 1 million followers. Like if there's some sort of reason why you're posting, I think that's huge.
These guys get an extra spark from being in the videos. They feel motivated to get in there, do the good work, and be recognized. So once I seen that, I'm like, man, I'm going to build the best business culture that our small city has ever seen. And then now it's much more than that to me. Now it's, you know, I want to be the best culture that you'll ever come work for ever.
So I'm curious now, like, what year in your business was it that you were able to kind of step out of the day-to-day operations to focus on building the culture, implementing systems, or any other part of building the business?
I mean, I've been kind of like a Swiss Army knife, and I'm not proud of it, realizing that my time is valued now and really working on the business, especially after bringing Anthony in. Last year was a constraint for me because I was an integrator for our business, and I was still holding that visionary role. So I was steering the ship as well as making sure that everybody on board was still maintained with me. It was difficult, and I didn't break, but I realized that I wasn't going to be able to take this business any farther than I wanted to without bringing an integrator. So we brought in Anthony, and now Anthony is that person. And I was able to, this last 8 months since last winter, go really to a strategy role of looking at the business from above the clouds and being like, okay, where do I move the chess pieces on the board to be able to set up our business for success? So I wanted to rebuild the company from the ground up. And I wanted to rehire a lot of certain positions, move people around. I wanted to build structure, hierarchy, and I wanted to build the business different from all the mistakes I learned from last winter. And that's exactly what I was able to do. So when I really stepped out of that role, which I'm still involved in being inside the business right now, kind of being an integrator, I'm just making sure Anthony's set up for success and he's learning with me, and there's some new challenges that we do face from time to time, but it's been this last year since I've been able to step up to that actual visionary role. I call it maker time, deep work time, where I'm able to be in a silent space and put 6 to 8 hours of work in a day to make sure that we are going to the right place. It's been challenging in its own ways, and I have a lot of skepticism, but the reason I am where I am and how I got here was just going for it. So I got an idea of what I want to do with this business next, and I'm just going to go for it.
To sum that up, basically, you've always been in the business. Like, you've always been
Still
in
am.
the
You
nuts
seen
and
it
bolts.
today.
Yeah, you still are. And me too. But you've slowly transitioned out of it over time.
I'm like a hybrid now.
Yeah.
Before I was all in, and I was able to still scale the business from pretty much being a full-time integrator and visionary for the company.
Okay.
God bless me, I guess. I don't know what to say, but I was able to pull it off and make it happen. And now what's really important to me is making sure that we could continue to grow as a business and have a solid structure. Basic day for me now looks like I'll wake up at 4 a.m., work on the vision for the business from 4 a.m. to about 12. Then I'll film for the rest of the day, where I'm able to not only learn about what's going on in the business from an integrator role and see what's going on operationally, boots on the ground, but I'm also able to make content at the same time.
Yeah.
I think I'm blessed right now. I got a cool role. It's going to change with time, but that's where I'm at right now.
Yeah, as an entrepreneur, you're always changing your role, you're always innovating, but there's one thing you're talking about here is the vision and your visionary abilities. And I listened to your podcast with Money Buys Happiness, and there was something you said on that podcast that got me very curious. You said a vision so big people could fit their goals and dreams inside of it.
That's what it's about.
That to me even is inspiring, to be able to see a vision that far. And my question with that is, what have you done that gives you the ability to dream that big, to see a vision that far? Is there something that inspires you? Is there something you went through? Like, what really gives you that ability to have a vision like that?
I think it's a component of not being, I'm not scared to lose. It's like, I'm not that worried, or I'm not scared to restart back over again.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I'm willing to do the impossible. That's why I'm willing to push it so far. I've also have built some confidence on proving myself year after year after year. After being in positions of near bankruptcy and collapsing a business and feeling tons of different pain throughout scaling the business, the vision has started to get clearer, and the scale for a bigger company just keeps growing every single year, because I keep building confidence with myself. I keep proving myself right. I keep learning from my mistakes, and I know what to do different moving forward. And something that's been important to me now is that I want to build a business with a ton of great people. I don't want to be the only person. I want the pie to be split 50 ways, if it could be, somehow, some way. But
where everyone wins.
Where everybody wins. I want to build a dream and vision so strong for the company that everybody's looking at me in the boardroom being like, what the fuck are you thinking about right now? Like, this is like kind of unimaginable. But like, if I could look at them and say, hey, if we were able to do this and we were able to actually make this happen, would you not be able to fit maybe your dreams and goals and what you want as a man individually or woman? And, you know, we've had a lot of people here see the vision very clearly and understand what we're trying to do here. Everybody that works for the company on a personal level that's willing to join you on this crazy mission and vision are able to fit what they have inside of that. You ultimately have won the game. Mm-hmm. Because you could build such a powerful business so quickly.
You can do that in any industry. You just happen to be here in snow because that's what you were given and that's where you started. But this applies for anything. And you're talking about confidence, and I can tell, I can feel your confidence. I can feel it in the team that you have. I can feel it in everyone. And for you, you're saying that that confidence over time has developed, and it's part of what fuels your vision. It wasn't always there. You started not even knowing if this was going to work out. You had to take a risk. Like, how were you able to develop that confidence over time? From what you said, from what I understand, it's you get knocked down, you have to get back up over and over and over again. And that is one of the things that builds your confidence. But can you expand on that? Because I think, like, really what's happening here is a lot of people are following your confidence, building their own within this community that you have from others. And that's also fueling the dream too. So, like, tell me a little bit more about how someone can go about building that confidence.
I think it starts with, you know, leading from the front. Like, when we talk about the entire team having that confidence around us, it starts with the leader. Everybody's looking at the leader. And if the leader's confident, even through hard times, then everybody else is going to be confident in the business. If the leader is saying, hey, we just made a massive mistake, look at these problems we're dealing with, but they're already providing solutions for the company, it's going to build a sense of confidence in everybody underneath. And that's just something naturally I've been able to do for several years. And it's something that I actually get off on. Like, it's sick, but for me, it feels right. When things start really going wrong, I could really start shining some light on what we need to do differently. And yeah, I kind of get off on it. So when your people and the business are looking at the leader and the leader is leading as leaders should, and helping everybody and having them understand clearly of what went wrong, but what we need to do different. That's when you really start seeing the effects of running a business where everybody has so much confidence.
So
I need to explain too that even myself, I think I've proved not only through social media, but just like being inside the business so much, is that everybody around me has seen us fail so many times in other ways, come close to bankruptcy, end up in very tricky, sticky positions where myself as a leader, I'd have to come forward with problem solving and how do I act in those moments? What do I look like? How's my demeanor? How's my energy? And I think I've just done such a great job of being confident and looking at the team and being like, hey, this is what we need to do different. These are the things we learned. This is what we're going to change. And ultimately, I always reassure guys that no matter how hard we eat shit, we're always going to get back up and do it again. I will be willing to take the loss of anything that might occur, but I'll never stop. When people feel that, they see it, they hear it, they see it in your eyes and your demeanor and your energy. That's one thing, bro. Energy don't lie. Okay.
Yeah.
So when you feel that in your heart and like these things are going through your mind, people are feeling them. They're picking up on the energy. And that is the motive I walk around this business with.
Yeah. That's huge. I even feel it just being here, being in the morning announcement with your crew. I feel that energy, and that's such an important part of leading the team. And like confidence is part of being a great leader. And what are some of the other things that you would say contribute towards you being a good leader for the team? You mentioned like leading by example. When a problem happens, how you deal with it is how people see it, and then they understand that that's the way that things are run around here. What are other things like that, help you be a better leader for the team?
Yeah, I think that a lot of the things I've spoke about already of, making sure that you hold these thoughts in your head and you actually say who you are to yourself in the mirror.
Staying true to your word.
Yes, absolutely. So these things you think about in your head of who you are, you better back that in person. Truthfully, you have to for your entire team. Because like I said, they pick up on the energy. They read it, they'll feel it, and they'll start to kind of take actions from that. Wear it. If you want to be the leader, you want to build a great business, okay? Own it. When things go wrong, you got to still have a smile on your face. When they go incredibly wrong, and you got to lead from the front, man.
Yeah.
You have to. It's so important. And that's what I think a lot of humans have a hard time on. And, that's when I believe that operations might not be for you. If you don't have that natural ability and skill set to own it when everything is going incredibly wrong and have problems to solve and go about fixing the issues that occur, then I just don't think you're a true leader. And it really stems from just like, what's your demeanor like? What's the look in your eyes? How's your tone? How's your voice? How do you go about addressing the issue?
One of my favorite things that you just said is part of being a great leader is building confidence within others. And one of the best ways to do that is when something bad happens, first of all, failure, you learn from it. But that failure doesn't define who you are. Everybody is somebody and everyone has those strengths too. So also not forgetting about highlighting those strengths and showing people that might not even see some of those strengths that they might have, pointing it out, highlighting that along with the lesson that you're learning from the mistake is part of how you can build that confidence within. It makes you a better leader. At the same time, it helps that person see themselves in a different way. And that's something that I love about how you lead people from what you've said. And about being a leader, a lot of people are relying on your vision. And I wanted to get more into the vision. I want to know what is next for Northern Snow. You guys have grown like insane. Like I'm looking at this and I'm looking at you. You're 25. You've built all of this. And to me, it's even unbelievable, like taking a tour of your shop. I can't even imagine where you're going to go from here. So where does the vision go from here?
Can you clarify something for me though? Is it better and different in person than when you see on the videos?
It's way better. And the reason why, like you said, is the energy.
You feel you can't sometimes always get that through content, but like the burn and the feeling you get here when you're in person seeing that, man, that is called toxic culture. Okay. And that makes you so addicted to want to keep coming back. That's why I have guys that it's 3, 4, 5 years, guys that have said, I'm not going to return next winter, but they always end up finding their way back.
I feel like a sense of loyalty even being here. I don't know all the stories of everyone, but it just feels like a secure, comfortable, exciting, loyal environment. And like if I were to join a team, I would come in here day one, feel like I'm family. And that's the vibe that I.
You nailed it. I want to make everyone feel that way, that they're
Mhm.
cared for, that their voice and opinion matters to me. It matters to the leaders underneath me. It matters to the entire team. And we're one wrecking force together. That's why our number one core value is no one wins alone, because we're one big family. We're one big team.
I love
And
it.
especially out there during operations, when we're out there battling the snow, where it really does feel like war sometimes, man. That snow just keeps coming and those machines are going out to battle, and there's men inside of those machines, and I need them to be strong up here. I need them to be as strong and resilient as possible. So I think that what we do here, we make sure that that's very impacted on them day to day. Walking out of this yard, they feel like, yeah, man, I'm going down with this team no matter what. Man, we went for 22 days straight last winter. I think that any sort of human is going to want to go for multiple 18-hour shifts inside of a small, noisy cab.
18-hour shifts for 22 days?
Show me men that are going to do that. Why were they able to do that?
Yeah.
Because of the leadership and the culture that we built. Okay? And honestly, I wouldn't have been able to do it without them, but they need me as much as I need them. And it's just synergy, man. It just all works together. Like I said, we're one wrecking force. But let me answer your question. You want to talk about what's next?
What's next?
First of all, we'll make it simple. That TV screen, we've changed completely. That was our fleet last winter. You're looking at about 48 tractors. We got rid of majority of the John Deeres. We doubled down on Kubota. We acquired a small business in Sault Ste. Marie with 500 contracts and 9 tractors. They were all Kubota, thankfully, a carbon copy of what our model was. And we were able to take last year's fleet of 48 tractors now to 61. 4 John Deeres and 57 Kubotas total.
And the Lambo tractor.
That one's, can't forget about that. Yeah, then to be 56 Kubotas, 57 would be the Lamborghini tractor, and then the 4 spare John Deeres would bring us to a total of 61 tractors this year. Nice. 4,850 customers to date right now and growing as we speak. And you came on the best day possible. We had a huge snowstorm yesterday, 30 centimeters. Currently right now, us in this boardroom, making this podcast, for anybody listening or watching the video, we have snow going on right now. Our guys are in a real-time operation as we speak. Kirk, you were here with Josh, Jacob this morning. You guys seen the hoorah. You felt the culture.
Yeah.
And, it's just a special moment right now. You guys coming all the way from Boston, and we're about to head out right after this podcast to go see what's going on in the field and finish the snow event with the guys. But you want to talk about what's happening next, and I kind of went in all different avenues there. But I don't want to talk about really exactly what we're going to do, because it's something
it's always changing.
Vision does change, especially based on things I see operationally. But, I don't want to speak before it happens, but I really want to build a scalable model. I do. I want to build a model that could be taken to more than one place. I believe that with myself and the team I have, that we could grow much, much bigger than Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. So me instilling that energy, even when the times get really, really tough, and making sure that that vision stays strong, I know we're going to get there. And our plan is to eventually break out of Sault Ste. Marie and be in more than one place. So how we're going to do it, what it looks like, all the great things that I might have in mind, they change. And I don't want to speak about things too soon.
So you want to keep growing, you want to keep going, and you're not stopping here. You still have big dreams, potential future expansion to other locations, and you want to keep growing the team. You don't see yourself slowing down anytime soon.
Not at this current moment, no.
That's huge. You're obviously doing really good today where you're at and where you're projected for, but what was one of the biggest failures along the way, and what did you learn from that?
It was last winter for us when we almost bankrupted the company just from getting so much excessive snow. It was the biggest snow season that we've ever seen in business, and I did not prepare my business around knowing that there was a possibility of actually receiving that much snow. So that was one of the hardest times ever, and it wasn't like one of those moments that was just like a day, 2 days, 3 days. Like we're talking like months and months of pain, watching so many things fall apart and having to learn from those lessons, figuring out last minute in a crunch of how you're going to keep this business alive. And it just builds so much character. It builds you into the man you are today. And it's the reason why we're able to successfully still continue to keep scaling the business. And it's why we still are where we are right now, is learning from those lessons. But the most daunting moment for me was last winter for at least a 3 to 4 month period. Like it just didn't stop. It was like bad thing after bad thing.
Throughout that, did you or any of your team experience burnout?
Well, here's the thing. When your back's against the wall, what choice do you have?
Yeah.
Okay. Like this isn't like and this is all respect to other businesses, but this isn't like landscaping. Okay, I'll make it simple, where you screw up the retaining wall, you go to bed that night and you have tomorrow.
Yeah.
In this business, when it continues to keep snowing, you have to continuously keep servicing your customers. And if you don't service them within a certain time frame, they'll want a refund. And when they want a refund, you get enough people to refund, you default, you bankrupt, and the game is over.
Well,
There's a rush to this business. There's time management that's involved. You have a small window to be successful in this business. And I think that's something that really keeps us all alive.
it's a lot of pressure
Tons.
on you and the team.
There was no way of quitting or giving up. Like, there was only
Yeah.
one way out of the situation. It's like, we are near bankruptcy. We are losing and crumbling our whole team around us.
And did the team know this at the time? Were you transparent and people knew that that's a possibility?
Nobody knew. It was just between me and Nick.
Yeah.
Nobody
Because
knew.
because even if that is an option, you're not going to take it. You're going to get through it, and the team is going to get through it, and you're going to see the other side of that. You're not
Yeah.
going to accept that failure, because you have two options when there's failure. You either push through it and you learn something and you keep going, or you take it and it's over. And you didn't take it. You kept going.
Yeah, I learned from every single thing we did wrong last winter and all the hard times we went through. And it made us rebuild the best business we've ever had to date. And I wouldn't take any of it back for any sort of monetary money you could give me. I would never take any of the experiences back, because it changed me as a man and it changed this entire business.
There's that huge uncertainty and unpredictability of the snow and how that's going to affect your business. What do people not tell you about running a blue collar business?
I don't think they tell you about how long the hours are going to be. I mean, every business has its longer hours, but with blue collar, you're working through seasonal weather conditions, which brings its own constraints. You're working majority of the time, because it's blue collar, with your hands, which brings a different level of difficulty. You're not warm, you're not inside of an office, you're in the field, you're in the trenches.
Yeah.
You know, you might experience physical injuries and things like that along those lines. But the one thing, and this is kind of a little bit different than your question, that I really appreciate about blue collar, that I feel like I don't think you could ever sometimes experience from working at a desk, is that the amount of pride you go home with as a man after you finish the job that day is something that I've never experienced from even working 48 hours straight in an office. Like, you will never get that same feeling from working with your bare hands as a man or a woman, and then going home, taking your boots off and being like, wow. It's prideful.
No, I agree. It's almost like a primal instinct that you're building something for the pack. Like, you're a part of this thing with the team, and just that feeling of like, I did that.
It's probably why I get off so much on like being in the field too, especially during operations for the winter. And like project work, I felt it more than anything, because like you would actually watch yourself build something. Always been fascinated with like seeing houses get built and stuff like that. But even with our reoccurring model, like when I watch the percentage go from like 60 overall completion to 70 to 80, and I see all the driveways looking nice and clean and the tractors are on their way back to the yard, and like we finish as a team and hit that 100% mark, it's this fulfillment here that like I just can't explain. You're physically seeing it, you're feeling it, you're outside in the cold, you're looking at it, your feet are cold, your hands are cold, you're going through different levels of experience and pain throughout those physical different feelings that you're having throughout the day, and you're experiencing that with everybody around you, and it's something that I can't explain. It's more of a feeling.
It's real. You can see it, touch it, and feel it. There's a lot of other businesses, especially with technology these days, but the one thing about blue collar is that it's always going to be there, and it's not just going to randomly change on you at some point. So that kind of leads me to one of my other questions, specifically about AI. Do you think that AI will be a threat for blue collar workers?
I think that it's going to have its place in the near future. I mean, we're talking probably 10 years to 20 years before maybe we might start seeing, tractors doing driveways by themselves.
Automated tractors.
You're seeing lawns getting cut already with like those automatic little robots. You ever see those on lawns? You probably see them in Boston. We have them here. Yeah, so I don't think they're out there to take all the jobs. Office jobs are definitely going to get taken for sure. But men and women working with their hands, I think we're going to see a lot of it for our entire lifetime in existence. But we're definitely not far from robots doing blue collar work, for sure.
Even if there's some jobs I think that robots could take, there's always going to be certain jobs that, like, no matter what, a robot isn't going to go in there and just start doing it. There's definitely some things where having the human thought and all the different variables, like definitely.
How do you build a culture with robots?
Yeah, exactly.
How are you going to build
There's
that human
that.
element and that
Mhm.
hoorah and video and all that sort of stuff? It's not going to happen. It's not possible. But
Yeah,
we will see definitely some trades get eaten up from
definitely.
automation. I
Mhm.
don't think AI specifically, but just we're automating. We're getting smarter as humans. We're finding ways of doing things faster, more efficiently with machinery, technology, AI, etc.
And I don't think that's something people should be afraid of.
No.
If anything, you should be excited because that's an opportunity. One thing I was really curious about is what is it like hiring like most people on your team that are older than you? Like a lot of these people are like 20 plus years older than you and
Mhm.
you're 25 years old. So we don't even hire people that like this is junk teens. We're hiring people that are usually younger than us. So like what is that like? Even them looking up to you as like the younger person.
Well, I just try not to make them feel any different than myself. I feel like just being naturally younger, I bring the youth out of a lot of these older gentlemen. But, there's no ego when talking to them. And I think that you get what you give, right? So, me giving mutual respect, I'm going to get it back. I don't
Mm.
ever see, and there's a lot of guys, everybody's pretty well older than me here for the most part. And I get treated with mutual respect all the time. So I think it's just, like I said, tonality, energy. How are you leading? Who you are as a person. A lot of people have conversations with me and be like, man, like you're 25, but you talk like you're 40, or like you express yourself like you're 40 years
Yeah.
old. So I feel like just having that natural ability when I'm there speaking with them and I'm communicating with them, I feel like they don't maybe look at me as a kid.
Mm.
Moments, they're like, wow, you look young, but I feel like I make them feel like I'm their age and
Yeah.
we're equal.
I think there's probably a lot of young people out there, even when it comes to getting customers, like how are these people going to take me serious because I'm young? And then that's why I was curious, like, you're young and there's people older than you that have to take you serious, and you're telling me that it's about how you carry yourself. It's about how you respect others and they're going to treat you the way that you treat them. But for the other younger people out there that obviously are seeing something this big and this crazy, and it is possible because you did it and we did our own thing. But what is like one piece of advice that you have for the 18-year-old version of yourself?
Start with what you have. Stop making excuses. There's something around you. There's somebody that has something. Or even if you come from an orphanage, anything it might be, there's got to be something around you or somebody that could help you get started.
If nothing changes, then nothing changes.
Exactly.
And if you don't go and start with what you have, or go to a different environment, or do something, change something, just get out there, nothing's going to change for you. You're never going to get anything new than what you have now. And
Well said.
that's pretty much what it
The
sounds like
change
you're
is
saying.
everything. Eric, one of our main guys here, he's like a brother to me. You met him from Guatemala in the shop.
Yeah.
Dude, that guy comes from an orphanage,
Wow.
barely any family. He moved all the way from Guatemala to Canada for opportunity, for change. And he set himself up for a successful future. He's helped build the business with us from pretty much the earlier stage to where it is now. And,
Huge.
he's in for the long haul. And look at that. Like, for example, you sometimes don't always have to be the entrepreneur as well. Like I said, if the leader and the owner of the business has a dream big enough for everybody to fit theirs inside of it and a vision for the company, then you could get so many people on board. And I feel like we've done a good job of doing that with guys like Mitch and Eric and Anthony and everybody else we're bringing in. Like these guys, they
That's
want to go
huge.
to war with us for the big vision, and they could fit their dreams inside of that.
Kind of on that topic of like, the advice for the 18-year-old version of yourself, what are some of the struggles that you think young entrepreneurs go through that nobody talks about?
The uncertainty, the unknown. Like just you're building a business, you're starting a business, you're scaling a business. Like you're always playing the game of not knowing what's exactly next. You have a vision, you have an idea, you're building towards what you want to happen next, but you don't know if it's going to be successful. You don't know if it's going to work, and you don't know if you might end up failing completely. So you're really, rolling the dice on the table. And I feel like as entrepreneurs, we place a lot of bets, but we're only betting against ourselves. So if
And
you have a lot of confidence here, in yourself, then you'll go far.
yeah, follow that confidence. And you started this whole thing with your best friend, Nick. And I'm sure even other people are worried about ruining a friendship. Or I started this with my brother. And even from the beginning, I'm thinking like, is doing this with my brother potentially gonna make things harder in the future? So do you have any tips on balancing like a friendship with your business partner? Has the business gotten in the way? Are you guys still friends, and how do you balance that?
No, I mean, we're best friends as much as we are partners. And, I feel like we're lucky with
Mhm.
our relationship that we have. We're fortunate. He's understanding in his way, I'm understanding in mine. I do believe that there really can only be one leader. Everybody can be a leader of their own, but there's got to be one guy steering the ship and directing where we going, how things are happening. And, he's had the respect and he's been able to put his ego aside to say, hey, listen, I think Stefano's that guy. And he was able to find his place within the business where he excels, where he's really good at, that makes sense for our company's vision and growth. And I was able to do the same on my end. And when you respect the boundaries and you make it fair between each other of
Mhm.
who's doing what, who's better at what, who's more capable of what, then ultimately you're going to grow a bigger, better business quicker. So I think it's like just, when it comes to friendships and relationships, it's like, just really calling things spade a spade, being there to have hard conversations, not hiding anything from others. And if you feel a certain way, talk about it.
Yeah.
Don't let ego get involved, and just always have honesty and truth between one another.
Open communication and trust are like everything when it comes to any partnership.
It's really those two things.
Yeah.
Hammer on the nail. And, one's got to root for the other big time. Like, you got
Yeah.
to be there to root for one another and lead each other on.
You recently got married, right? And congratulations,
Thank you
by
so
the
much.
way. But I think that's amazing too. You're 25, married with this huge business, and I'm curious, what is it like balancing life and your business at the same time and
Um,
being successful in both?
It's interesting. Like, they both have kind of found a combination between one another. Tiara has been a big part of even helping with some of our success over the difficult we've had. She's always been there. Hey, you need me to pick up the support lines? I'll start doing support for you. You need me to sign up customers? I'll sign up customers for you. And she's always been there through those tougher times
Mm-hmm.
to quote unquote put the team on her back, put the business on her back, even, at times skipping work to come in to help us when our business was eating shit. And unfortunately, I've really made our life and business kind of a combo. Like, it is really mixed together. But she sees my vision. She really appreciates and understands the mission that I'm on. I met her just after the year we did 175 driveways. So I finished that winter and I met her right in the spring. She's been around for pretty well the entire growth for sure. And she's always showed up at the most difficult times. And that's something that, has really, for me, built a strong love between one another to show that, hey, this person always wants to see me be successful. She's always rooting for me. She's always making sure that, that I'm always still chasing my passion and she's not slowing me down. So she's done a great job of elevating me. Like, you have the wrong significant other as soon as you start seeing your life detracting.
Mm.
Okay, that's how you got to look at it. It's really simple. It's like, okay, before I married her, right? Not only was I aligned, or I guess before I got down on one knee and engaged with her, but even before marrying, I always checked myself along the way. About 6 months into our relationship, I went over these common questions that I would ask myself. Do we have the same morals and values? Yes, check mark. That's the main thing. Do we share the same interests? Big check mark there. And the last one is, who's given up whose mission to join one or the other? Because you cannot be partners and have two different missions in life. If she wants to go be a doctor in a different maybe country and explore doing something else, and I want to build this business over here, it's not going to work. So let's give up the relationship now. Who is joining who? Am I joining her mission or is she joining mine? We need to align. We are now partners. We are now one together. Like I said, number one, for anybody watching, young kids, maybe even somebody older, for me, this is what's worked for me. And I think it makes total sense. You got to have the same interests. That's number one. If you don't have the same interests, well, it's going to be a tough life spending the rest of your life with your significant other that you guys don't share common interests together. Number two, do you have the same morals and values? For me, being raised from an old school Italian family, morals and values are big to me. And if we're not aligned on that, it's probably going to be a weird relationship long term. And the last one is, who's joining whose mission? So I got to thank Tira. I love her to death. She has joined my mission. She has given up a lot to see me succeed as a man and be a partner aligned with me to go through this journey of life together.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I kind of went a little bit everywhere there, but I gave you some reason of why I chose her, why I married her, and what it's done for me as a man. Like I said, once you are in a relationship for long enough, I need you to zoom out. I need you to look at yourself as a man and be like, I've been with this woman for 12 months. Am I better from when I first met her,
Mm-hmm.
or am I worse? And if you're worse, it's time to leave, brother.
Yeah. And that's part of making big decisions in life. If something isn't working, whether it's personal life or business, you got to make that decision. And if you stay stuck, that's your choice.
Absolutely.
Like exactly what you just said. Look at your situation. Are you worse? And that might just mean that it's time to make a decision. And in order to level up or build that confidence, you got to be making these kind of difficult decisions.
Mhm.
And yeah, like I'm really happy to hear this. Like
It really is as simple though when you think about it. That's like the simplest way to put it. It's like
yeah.
after 6 months to 12 months, or even maybe 3 months, we'll give you enough time.
Mm-hmm.
Take the sex away. Take the honeymoon stage away. Take away all the feelings you get when you
Yeah.
first meet a woman. Think about actually if she made you better as a man.
Yeah.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Look at the stats. What are the stats saying? Are you in better shape? Are you making more money? Are you doing more for yourself? These are the things you have to
Do you
look at
feel
though.
happy, confident?
Getting more done.
Yeah.
If you're going the other way on the scorecard, then like, man, you got the wrong girl.
Yeah.
So it's time.
Exactly.
People don't give that up though because they're too addicted to maybe the honeymoon stage, right? And
Focus on the inside. All that other stuff you're saying, the honeymoon stage, everything else, that's the surface level. And a lot of people get caught up on the surface. That's one of the reasons I like blue collar, because on the surface, it's not sexy at all. But the foundation of these blue collar businesses is just hard work. You put in the work, you get paid. It's real. You can feel it, touch it, and see it. And it's the same thing with building relationships with people. It's like you want to look for trust, loyalty, communication, not what looks great on the outside. But my last question here is, if you were to lose it all today and you had nothing, no relationships, not even the equipment or anything, and you just were thrown back out there with nothing, how would you restart?
I would go look for another business that I had interest in, okay,
Mm-hmm.
that maybe I would be interested in pursuing. And I would go work for that company from the absolute bottom, make money, live off the bare minimum, save as much as I can, learn the ins and outs of that business that I might be passionate about building, and try and start my own. That is personally something I would do. So if you're talking about restarting,
Mm-hmm.
like currently where I'm at right now with everything I know up here, I'm going to try and go and find somebody out there that I could sit down with, express my vision and mission again, explain to them what I did wrong, what I'm going to do different the next time, and see if I could find some outside capital to restart all over again. That is exactly what I would do right now. So if that would have happened to me last winter, that's what I would have done. I would have went and found somebody. And it especially helps through content when you build content. Even like when people listen to that Money Buys Happiness podcast, I had some people reach out to me that are like, hey man, if you're ever in a sticky situation again, like you need some outside capital, like anywhere between 100K to 10 million, like I got you. That's what I would do.
Yeah, that's huge. Going to someone that is where you want to be, and whether it's partnering with them, learning from them, just anything, you need that guidance and that kind of that guidance to get back on track.
Yep.
And there you go.
Dude,
Yeah,
this is 2025. Getting capital investment is not difficult. What's
Yes.
difficult is having knowledge and learning through experiences. Like you could take away the money from the man, you could take the business away from the man, but you're never going to be able to take away what he's learned and what he's went through and who he is and the character he's built. You will never be able to take that away. As long as you're confident and you carry that in yourself and you know that even as a man, if I fail, I will restart. You know, the sky's the limit. That's why I keep pushing for the impossible.
What is one last thing that you would like to leave the audience with?
The biggest one that took me so long to just go about starting my own business, which I would have known, and you probably listened to this in my last podcast with Ernesto on Money Buys Happiness. When I said I could have done this at 16, I really meant that I could have started at 16 because it was right in front of me the whole time. There is somebody younger or older listening right now. You have a business opportunity in front of you. Okay, please wake up, smell it, and start with what you have. That is the only thing I could leave from exiting this podcast with you, is just please open your eyes. You could start with something around you. Look at you, man. You started with an old truck and you're like, I'm going to go and take junk out of people's houses and charge money for it. And then boom, as soon as you start gaining your traction, you learn how to scale it really quickly.
I agree with that. Yeah, start when you can. Like, we're young, we started, and that's our advantage. And yeah, thank you for sharing everything, Stefano. It was great to meet
Appreciate you, man. Thank you. Okay, let's go and crush this snow event now.
Where can people find you?
You can find me on Instagram, Stefano Narducci, YouTube, Stefano Narducci, TikTok, Stefano Narducci, Facebook, Stefano Narducci. Everything's just Stefano Narducci.
I'll leave those links in the description and make sure to subscribe.
Yes,
Let's
please
go.
subscribe. Thank you, guys.
Let's go.
That's it.